Okay, so yeah, this is for the Browne Video Productions version of On Location Missions, the archive for the Christmas video. Bring it all together. It's a little disjointed. It takes place between December 13th, roughly, well, almost December 7th, and December 30th, roughly. So I thought to come in here and chime in and fix that. Okay, the first part we're going to dive into is, well, last time that I left the channel, there is a roundabout mention. Yeah, Mom passed away in April. And she was 88, and that was mentioned in the story, but it wasn't mentioned correctly. I mentioned it as a reference to some of my other fan films, which was strange. No, she passed away, and so in April, and then Uncle Bill passed away in November, and early December, and so Uncle Bill also passed away in Minnesota. He was a ship. He built model ships when he was as a hobby. I don't know what his actual job was, but as a hobby, he built model ships. So I thought to mention that. Then there's going to be a little bit of mention of the Christmas plays that went on. There was mention of the. It's a little confusing because there's no footage of the first Christmas play at all. There's just some slides of somebody dressed as Santa who may be Steve, but we're not sure. Yeah, and he was the Santa Claus in the story. Also, the play was called Angels Say What, and it didn't go up on YouTube afterward because they couldn't apparently get. Maybe they've done it since, but as far as I know now, it's not up on YouTube. The other one is though the Best Christmas Song Ever is up, as well as the Christmas Story, the two short plays. I was a assistant director on the kid plays, the Angels Say What, and the other one enlisted in the cast. Of course, as I said on there, kind of chopped up in the story because it's kind of like bloggy, and I kept jumping subjects to other things. We couldn't show any footage of the kids because, for obvious reasons, you can't do that on your blog, so that didn't happen. So that was what the other ones were. Then it jumps into the 13th and the 14th. It jumps into the mention of the STO guys. You can leave that because, sure, why not? The STO guys. We also, in this story, in the end credits, reveal one of the animation companies that inspires the whole thing. You know, the STO people, before they all got canned and replaced by new people. The STO people were over there, Cryptic guys. They came to the show. They came to the 2024 season Christmas play. That's what I'm talking about. And they were at the 2024 season Christmas play, which I can't really go into. It was a lot of fun, but it had nothing to do with this. But yeah, that's what was going on. The holiday plays. And of course, the kid cast. I was assistant AD, assistant director. One of them. There was 2 or 3 of this. So at the convention, the Cryptic guys were, and Scott Boyd, one of the guys, formerly of STO, now over at DC, was there with his friends, and at the thing, and Donnie Visagi, yeah, the guy who does the renders, the 3D renders for the games, the Star Trek games. That can go and see the 3D renders. He was there, shook his hand. Cool. At the time, though, they showed up the day before yesterday, the first performance, and I didn't realize that they were actually them until the second performance. Went up to Scott and said, "Look, was that the guys from the games and all that stuff?" Yeah, those are former SDO guys. So I actually met the cast of Star Trek Online, some of the designers. So I met them. So, but I hadn't met them before. So if they could say in the comments, "Oh, I hadn't met them before." I only met one. I know of one. But he went over to DC, Scott. And so we have the gathering with Brian Story and Brad later on in the story, and we have it was already planned ahead of time that we were going to do the meeting. There was already early this morning, about 1 o'clock. He text messages. He's looking through the files. And he found a picture of the Ghostbusters Transformer, the Ectotron, and. Needless to say, it came about when he texted. I didn't turn the phone off, and so it came about that that it screwed up my REM sleep. So I just stayed up for another hour and a half. I went back to sleep again. So I figured the next morning he wanted to buy the toy, the Transformer. Turns out the Transformer was not really worth more than $55. It wasn't really super expensive, so I figured I would order myself another one in the morning and just give him mine as a Christmas present, because it's in the box, mint in box, and yeah, it'll be worth $50. But I wasn't gonna just give him, $50 or something. So yeah, I got the toy, but that was near the end of the first couple of hours on the set. There was much hanging out at Denny's for several hours. The various things that they were up to. Drew had fallen at some point, was having issues, and Drea moved up north somewhere with her husband, and Brian lost some weight, and he looked better than he did 5 or 6 years ago when we last saw him. They live in a prefab home, sort of it's called a mobile home. It's a prefab home similar to the one that the Buffkins had years ago in SoCal, but it's not in SoCal. It's the Meridian area, Monterey Highway area. So it's the other end of Monterey, toward past Tully and all that. It's it's too far away. It's not as far as Santa Teresa was, though. He lives relatively close to Time Tunnel Toy and the fairgrounds, I think is what he said. And yeah, yeah, appears to have no direct political affiliation, although tends to lean conservative. And great. Um, kept saying, "I'm not lying," but he was misinformed about many things. But he's not lying. Misinformed. Anyway, so we won't go into that as to avoid the bots from the right that'll come in and spam the channel. There was talk of his stray cats. There's somewhere around that area. There are 13 of them. Hopefully, they're all living in his house. He's a crazy cat lady at this point. What's the story? Who works at Kaiser, and he's retired. I am also semi-retired. So he got to see the stuff, that kind of thing, and talked about ghosts and things like that, and kind of that Bacon story was told, and the Chase Masterson story, and the various other things. And then we went to the other. Briefly to Walgreens. He wanted a Pepsi, but it was getting dark, so it was between about 11 o'clock and then he was wearing an E.T. Crew jacket, which was interesting. That was made specially for him by Mr. Kriesman. Some of Kriesman's videos were hinted at, and some of his other fanline and online things. And then there was returned here to see the cats. Houdini was immediately excited to see him and let him pet him. So the cat. The other two, not so much. Cadabra was not so much excited. Abra was completely disinterested. The other cat. And she usually is. So. And now his other cats are going to think he's been cheating on them. So then there was upstairs to see the Moulin Rouge poster from the 70s and some other things. The So, or I didn't know that at the time. And so, at the end of the service, they get to go to Denny's. Some of them, Jonathan's family, Sean LaRusso's family, and Brad, they want to go to Denny's. And I was all, I should tag along, go for the Denny's. And they'll just, Amanda felt she wasn't invited to some other cast thing with Brian and the other. So I was like, we can go to Denny's if you want to, but we're going to go over there. You can just meet us. No, I don't want to do that. All the other family members would have to come, and it would be convoluted, which it would. That would be So she didn't end up going to that. So she ended up missing out on the other cast party. It wasn't a cast party. It was some of the cast from the group, but it wasn't a cast party. And so that ends that. And yeah, and the rest of that is in there, as they say. This is Calicaster on location missions, December 29th. The family visit at the Airbnb. I'm assuming this is mostly all of it because there'd really be no reason to do other ones. They did the Christmas thing, turns out early. Well, not early, but they did it a day early. They didn't have a schedule. So everybody flew in yesterday, or flew in and drove in, and Philip and his wife, and she's very pregnant, and Sarah and Noah and Declan, and Declan, who is a little over 1.5, 2, almost, something like that, two, I guess. And Ian showed up. Apparently he was supposed to take me, but he didn't. I ended up Ubering over there. He took me back, though, from afterward. I took an Uber to the thing. But first let's cover the church service thing by one of the pastors, the older guy pastor. Blanking on his name. But the older guy, and so the whole cast was there, including some of the other cast members. There was an appearance of the adult Abbeys were there, and Emma was there. Yeah, so they were all there. Yeah, and so we have that that's relevant to the story. But we also have. Mrs. Dunn appeared in the coffee shop. It was raining, and then it stopped raining, and then there was we went to the service. Scott Boyd and Emma had a moment. Scott Boyd had a moment with Dan, my nephew Dan. Afterward, Dan and Pam and Donovan were there too. Donovan's 14 now. And Dagny is 4. So we had the kids club slippers that the Chewbacca slippers were given out at that point to Dagny. Yeah, so this is just a recap because I have pictures later, but there aren't too many. Cast photo and all that. They like the title On Location Missions. That's nice. It does sound kind of militaristic, so they probably like that. However, they are MAGA people, most of them. And anyway, we won't go into that. So some of the pictures may appear a little odd, but there was a gas picture and all that. And Courtney's is Philip's wife, but no relation to other Courtneys. That's just a coincidence. It's a coincidence. They're just like there's 3 Abbeys. It's coincidence. Out there in space. I rushed out after I had lunch. They left to go back to do errands and things for the thing because we moved up the white elephant thing to tonight instead of tomorrow, so they could do other things tomorrow, saving the 30th, the day before New Year's, for other things, which makes more sense. So we did that, and that was a. Airbnb. There was a Domino's game. I don't think I won that. I don't think I lost it either. Uneven, so I was one on there. There's that. Usually the Browne Christmas video, we get a Browne Christmas video, but there wasn't any video of this. So this is sort of a recap because we don't have video of it. That way we get around the censors, but no video of it. Moni was indirectly contacted via text message during the events so that she could participate in the story. in some way. And also, yeah, so we did the white elephant thing. But I'd forgotten the white elephant thing. I bought it, but it was on the stairs, and so was the other thing. There were two items. There was a Transformer toy. That was because they always made their white elephant stuff something you want, right? And something somebody else might want, but maybe not, because white elephant technically is something that they might not want. Yeah, it's not supposed to be something that they might not want. And that's the idea. It's like the tea set that was floating around at three different Christmas parties at the ESL group for like a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. I ended up with it, when it was put at another potluck, left over from. There was another potluck left over from, I think it was Thanksgiving. No, it wasn't Thanksgiving. No, it was the end of summer. So it was like some other potluck thing was going on, volunteer potluck, and they just happened to do the white elephant thing again there. They gave it up, so I had this tea set sitting around. That might have been actually Easter time, but I don't think it was. I think it was after Easter. I think it was the summer. It's when a summer volunteer event of some kind. So I was stuck with it for 6 months. I gave it up to the white elephant gift thing of the volunteer kids club kids group at the church. So it finally got sent to another group to their white elephant. I did not have that for this time. I'd already given it up. So I had the other two items. So at the end of they wanted to come back over tomorrow and get the gifts, because I was supposed to bring the gifts. Just so happened that Ian, which would have been silly, it just so happened that Ian drove me home. So I said, okay, to drive you home, the white elephant stuff is sitting right there, stairs. I'll grab it, come back out, give it to you. You take it back to the Airbnb, and you give it to them. Everything that's in there is theirs. And Ian was all like, no, if it's anything Star Trek, I didn't want it. It's not Star Trek. It's not a Trek. He said, it's not Star Trek. It was not Star Trek. It was a $29.95 Transformer. One Star Trek, so it was Transformer. What's funny is it's the gay one. It's Nightshade. So if they look that one up, they're going to be like, I have two. I gave it one. The other one's open. So, greetings, this is Calicat, the Calicatster. And just got back from Christmas in the park. Haven't been there since 2008 or so. Christmas 2008, roughly. Around that time. 2007, 2010. It might have been 2007, actually. Maybe it was 2008. Because there was, somewhere around there. It was one of those years I think it was I think it was 07. Anyway, so yeah, they family met at some of them met at the Martha and Philip and Sarah's family, and so Jim and they all met at Martha's gym. All met at the Christmas in the Park. I was there an hour and a half early because I wasn't all that hungry, and because all day had kind of food poisoning from something going on. Other people had it, family, right? So I don't know. It's kind of sketchy, but so I did have one of their I did have one of their hot dogs when I was there though. It was very dry, so I probably didn't do anything. It didn't help though, and so the Christmas in the Park thing was, yeah, they have like the stuff in San Jose Cesar Chavez Park near the infamous Quetzalcoatl statue. There's some pictures. I'm going to show you pictures on the thing of the pictures of the two things. The pine hill tree was there. The veteran tree was there. The black nutcracker sculpture was there, and a bunch of other things. There was a comic thing we didn't go to. There was the Bajan Bakery. Martha finally saw what the Bajan Bakery was about from the conventions. It looked expensive, and there was too big a line. We didn't go in. There was they were on the carousel, but not on the Declan. Jim took Martha's Jim took Declan on the baby on the carousel. Hell, in the carousel. He put him on the pony. Yeah. So. Yeah. So yeah. Walked around and stuff. I had to use one of their porta potties, but fortunately it was only a number one. It was pretty scary in there, but yes. So yeah, there's not a lot of yeah. That's kind of what happened. I guess some of them plan to meet New Year's Day, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm kind of burned out on that and stuff, and yeah. But New Year's Eve, we're gonna get a Calcat New Year's Eve thing if I'm up to it. So we'll do a Calcat blog thing. Probably not an hour. It won't be an hour. We'll also go over the best movies of the year according to Calcat. Those being there weren't hardly any. Usually Calcat gets a constant trouble for making up a movie review thing and going like, oh, he only likes the action movies and space movies and Star Trek, Transformers, and that's it. It only does that. But this year there weren't a lot of the other ones, big name Oscar movies either. There was mostly the action movies. So, yeah, it's a toss up between animated movies this year. Anyway, so yeah, so this has been On Location Missions. This is the after Christmas in the Park thing. It was fun. I really don't have much else to say about it other than that. I think these mission episodes will be shorter and to the point, and just get things going, and then from there, yeah, yeah, and more or less the same kind of thing. So that's what's happening. That's what that is. Yeah. So there isn't much happening after New Year's Eve tomorrow. And we usually do a New Year's Eve thing. And I can't imagine it wouldn't technically be the season finale of season 16, because season 16 kind of never happened, except for the Halloween episode. So really, technically, yeah. I think there was an update in June, and then Halloween. Update with the Starcraft sets, and then Halloween. It's not a season. That's very little going on. So there you've got. There it is. the it wasn't Christmas Eve though. It was technically after Christmas Eve. It was technically 3 days later in that Airbnb. And yeah, we don't do white elephant correctly. White elephant gifts should be not gifts you want. They should be gifts you don't want. You're trying to get rid of them. They're secondhand and they're regifted. They should be gifts you don't want. So you're not interested in keeping them. You're just oh God, here, take it. That's what they should be. But they were treating it as a almost a Valentine's Day gift exchange with like one person getting one thing and that's it. The kids getting other things because the kids are there. Of course, we didn't film anything. There was no film of anything with that. By then, the Christmas videos were up online for everyone to watch since the 20th. At that point, they wanted to watch all the videos. We also they didn't, but they were up there. The family members seemed like I wanted to do more of it and be invited to the other stuff later on after the gift exchange, but not really. I didn't really want to be. It's kind of burned out on it, but they said, Christmas in the park, we're gonna do that, and so I was all okay, I'll go to Christmas in the park, and I got there early and kind of annoyed the other family members, Martha and them, that I was there early. But they showed up and everything was okay, and that was kind of the last I saw of them this year, last year. Now it's last year, that was the end of that. That was the finale of the story. There was nothing more after that. They went on to have some kind of a gathering with some of Martha's Jim's family, and because I always say it's Martha's Jim, to not confuse it with Jim, another Jim that I know from years ago that makes no relevance here. Jim Buffkin, not the same guy at all. And they met for New Year's Eve instead of the next day. So, or New Year's Eve, not New Year's Day. On New Year's Day, they met again, I guess, and they did something else, but that's not in the story. They went out for Chinese. It didn't appear that it appeared that some of them showed up for that, and then they left on the 2nd as we get into the new year. So this is sort of so as we close this is sort of a weird little pilot episode where we have this other thing going on, where you start on location missions, but it's like it's a holiday blog. That's what it's meant to be. The visuals are just the slideshows. So it's not necessarily dedicated to anybody because, it's a while back. Some of the other stuff, fan films were, but it's not really. It's I guess you could toss that in the end if you want. But the channel doesn't really have a showrunner per se, but if it did, it would be Dan. And I just put up the stuff. The channel hasn't been updated in a while, I see, since May. This is this was originally aired as 2 longer episodes with a bunch of extra stuff, including a movie review part and a bunch of stuff about the Starship Locations episode that Amanda Rumsey inspired, but is nothing like it. She inspired with the Brazil trip. And other people inspired. Other character names were mentioned as inspirations for other things, but that was not relevant because there was like, okay, this is what they're doing, boom, stop. So, it's kind of what's in there already, but if you want this sort of little making of thing, maybe just have this as a supplement, chopped throughout, I guess. It might just help it a little bit to make sense coherently.